Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the series where I get to speak to you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections, finding out what got you into collecting in the first place and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. Okay, so who do we have on this week's episode? Well, you know what you got to do, guys. Take a pew, put your feet up, and let's take a look at some of his collection in a musical montage. Okay, so once again, we have another fantastic collection, and there's some bits that really caught my eye, mainly the Star Wars and the DC. Now, some people would argue that he is the younger and better looking brother. Personally, I'm still on the fence. It is a pleasure to welcome Simon from Manfandanga.art. Hello, sir.
Some people do call me the Poundland Shabby. I'm actually the older one. I'm the oldest by 9 minutes.
Oh, right.
It's the worst 9 minutes in Mark's life.
I didn't realise you were twins. I just thought, yeah. Oh, good God. Oh, wow. Okay, so you learn something new every day. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. How's yourself?
Awesome stuff. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Thank you for taking part, mate. It's awesome to speak to you properly for the first time. So, as you were saying, you've seen some of the episodes, so we've got 10 questions for you, all about you. Run time, roughly about an hour. Doesn't matter if we go over. So we'll crack on with the first question. What are your childhood memories and what toy lines were you into?
I'd say, given me age, I'm 47, Stu. So I'd say, you know, like a lot of men over the age of 45, it's the big runs, Thundercats, He-Man, Transformers, Star Wars, a lot of that, a lot of animation towards me. I was banging to Dungeons and Dragons, the He-Man cartoon, and Thundercats, and I think with me because
we was always, sorry. Do you want to repeat that? We just lost you a bit there, mate. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that it was mostly the animation really on the side of it for all the 80s that I really was drawn to. That all the cartoons I never missed. You know, I love them all. Collecting wise, it was mostly Star Wars, mostly Transformers for me. Started off with Action Man. Absolutely adored Action Man as a kid, which annoys me because when Mark comes on here, he never really remembers the amount of Action Man that we actually did have as children.
Was that the 12-inch ones? The 12-inch
ones? Yeah. I'm talking 82 or 83. And there were the big figures. And I remember my biggest thing was always Batman. I love Batman. And we couldn't get any Batman outfits for your Action Man. But luckily, my mum's a tailor. So one Christmas, she made me a complete Batman outfit for my Action Man. So it had a great Batman. You know?
Awesome. So you were Batman, and did you actually both dress up as Batman and Robin? You and Shabby, or not really?
We've got pictures here. I think Shabby still got it. There's always pictures of me in about an outfit as a kid. I don't think I ever wore anything else. Do you know what I mean? I think from the age of 5 up to 10, I was always in something Batman. You know, a lot of JR t-shirts and things like that. And because it was the 80s, but.
So what was it about Batman then that sort of like caught your eye?
66, Batman 66.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that show. Still do to this day. And if anybody mentions Batman, Adam West is the first Batman that pops up into my head. You know, that show just made a massive impact on me as a kid. Really did.
Because it would. I mean, looking back on it now, it seems fairly camp and quite, you know, comical compared to some of the Batmans that we've got today, doesn't it? But that doesn't bother you, know.
No, I see it as it's like Transformers. As a grown adult, I went to see the Transformers movies, and graphic wise, and seeing characters that were quite unrecognizable to me was, you know, storyline. They were all over the place. But I tried to put my mind into a 12-year-old boy. What would a 12-year-old me think of Transformers of today? And they would have been mind blowing to me. So that's basically was my, like, Batman. I can never remember it as a kid being all campy and stupid. And it was only as I got older I realised what the show was going for and the jokes and like the spirit of the 60s and stuff. Yeah. But I never saw that as a kid, Stu. Never saw it. Never saw the silly stuff. No, never saw it.
No. I mean, I remember watching it as a kid myself, and I did quite enjoy it back then. But then it was only, I think, until Michael Keaton's Batman came out, I thought, wow, this is a totally different, you know, set into how it was back in the 60s and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's only when I saw that. But so you said you're into a lot of toys. What was your favorite toy line and why? Or did it change as you could sort of like grew up? And
I think it was the same as a kid as what it is as an adult. I collected and I liked what I liked. I didn't really feel necessarily that I had to buy the whole collection of things. What I liked, like when it came to Transformers, I absolutely loved Decepticons. So I wasn't really bothered if I picked up Autobots or not as a kid. Optimus Prime never bothered me or anything like that. But luckily, I had 3 brothers and we're all close to age. So where I'd get one Transformer, they'd get another one. So by the time there was 4 bought, we'd all have 4 different ones, you know. So I think growing up with 4 brothers, you don't really have a collection as in yourself. It's spread out between all 4 of us, really. My mum would go Star Wars figure shopping, and I'd get the Gamorrean Guard. Mark could get the Rancor Keeper. It'd be like that. So in a sense, we'd all play with them all together. They'd all be in a big pile, and that's how we do it as kids.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And you say that you were attracted to the animation of the cartoons. Was that solely the cartoons, or was that to do with the packaging as well? Because I remember, I know now some of the packaging for Motu is absolutely phenomenal. It really is. I think it's some of probably the best packaging artwork that I've seen.
For me, I loved the Master of the Universe artwork. It was outstanding as a kid. But for me, the most closest to packaging for the cartoon, I'd say, was the Transformers. I absolutely love them boxes. The way it was done in that 80s grid and always purple Decepticons, and I just love them boxes. I just love the way you could get like your little red tag and stick it on the back, and you could see what level your Transformer was at. And It was the art on them that I just used to love. Because to me, as a kid, when you used to see them boxes, I was more of a case of somebody's drawn that. How did they draw that? And I was really more like baffled of how they did that than anything else. Like the image I'd love the image, but I'd be more, how did they do it? That'd be me as a kid, you know.
Do you think the packaging then for toys, especially back in our day, that was what drew us to the figures, to the toys, or do you think it was actually seeing it on the TV as an animated series?
I think, Stu, that they came hand in hand. When I go back to packaging as a kid, they had kids on these packagings playing with these toys, and you represented yourself to the boys that were on that packet. They were your age, they were playing with all these figures. There was a few of them, and I think for me, it reminded reminiscence of me and my brothers. That's how we would be. We'd get the Imperial Death Star or whatever, and we'd bring it home, and we'd all be. And I think that's mostly for what it is. I think the artwork drew kids in, but I do believe it was having kids on packets that made kids really want something.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I never looked at it like that. I just thought it was always the cool looking artwork. I mean, G.I. Joe, they had some fantastic artwork. You had the original vintage Star Wars cards and stuff like that. I never thought of it as like looking at the kids on the packet and thinking, wow, they're on the, do you know what I mean? So it's funny how people see things differently and stuff like that. So when did you become aware that you were into collecting then? Obviously, because you get to certain ages as kids and stuff like that, and you get interested in different things and stuff. So when did you actually think, well, hang on a minute, you know, I want to get back into collecting again? Or have you always sort of been into collecting?
Yeah, I've never stopped collecting. Never stopped.
Wow.
Never stopped from being a kid. I've got things in this house that I've had since I was a kid, even cinema tickets, key rings, receipts. I keep absolutely everything. I'm one of them weirdos that just keep the lot. So I've always collected. I've got every animal since I was a kid, every figure, never threw anything away. I made sure nobody else did, even as a kid. And I'm also, as I became an adult, did become an inbox collector. And it's been a good 25 years since I've actually opened anything. So in a sense, I buy these things and I love the sense of having them, but I never have time. Like, I mean, I see some of these guys in here with the display skills and the photography skills and the way they can do these things. I just don't have the time for things like that, you know? So all my stuff's in box, but yeah, I've never stopped, never.
No, that's interesting. And I like the fact that you've still got all your childhood toys. I mean, I've said to many of people on chats and stuff, I wish that I'd had at least one item from my childhood that I could have on my shelf and say I had that as a kid, but I didn't. You know, I sort of lost interest in collecting altogether. I was off into like doing football and sports and stuff like that, and then, you know, and that just I think back then it was kids were like, oh well, you know, you're like call you all sorts of names and stuff like that if you found playing with toys or collecting toys and stuff like that, and it was like a different attitude kind of then. So I just got rid of all my stuff and what have you. So but to have at least one item, I think that would have been great, but I don't, unfortunately. But there you are. Never mind.
The greatest thing I kept as a kid, and I had a nasty accident when I was 10, and it kept me in hospital for a long time. And my auntie, I can't remember her name now, my auntie Rosemary, she came with my Uncle Stuart, and they bought me the Megatron, the 86 G1 Megatron.
Okay, yeah.
That thing, she was I'll die with that thing. It's my favorite ever toy that was ever created for me. I just love that Megatron, you know, and I've still got the original. I've still got it to this day in its box and everything. And that's just something I don't think I'll ever part with ever. You know, I've had it for so long as well now, and it's just, you know, again, if I think of Transformers, Megatron straight in my head first. So
yeah. So you were obviously as a kid you played with your toys, you took them out of the boxes. Did you? So you actually kept the boxes as well then?
Not as kids, no. Mark will be the first. As kids, as soon as they were home, they were gone. Do you know? And it makes us laugh now because we say how many of these toys went through our hands as kids that were packaged, that were there. And if we'd have just kept them like that, they'd have, you know, would have been millionaires by now. But again, four brothers, as soon as they were home, box was gone. Do you know?
So when did you think, I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep these in the boxes then? Because obviously you were so used to taking them out the boxes, throwing them away and then playing with the toys. When did you think, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start keeping these in the boxes?
I used to work Goldsmiths at the jewelers, and there was a friend of mine there called Tom. and he was a big Marvel fan, big Marvel collector. He was a few years older than I was, and it was him at the time. And he used to say to me all the time, "Oh, I don't open things, and these will be worth." And I think he was one of them that knew that what was coming. Do you know what I mean? Those that could see the foresight of what they had at the time.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just a case of, you know, you're in your 20s, you're out, you're meeting girls and stuff, you're doing other things, your life's changing to an adult. But the collecting side of me was still there. But I wasn't the sort to be like, it was out and it was displayed, and that just wasn't in me at the time. It was just buy it. It was always in my art office, or it was put to one side, and I just kept that going in a sense.
Awesome. So with your parents, obviously, because my parents had a lot to do with my toys moving on and stuff like that. Did you say to them, please do not get rid of these? Or were they would just like put them up in the loft and just forget about them?
I think with us, my dad walked out my mum when me and Mark were 11. And so he left my mum with a single parent with 4 kids. So I think we knew the importance of stuff early. Whereas, you know, if you got this, look after it. We can't afford this with 4 kids. Do you know what I mean? Single parent. Yeah. And I think that just kept with us, do you know? So I think that's what it was. Like, mums are the best collectors in the world at the time, weren't they? You know, we talk about this collecting, but in the 80s, mum were the greatest Star Wars collectors there ever was.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. I mean, I like the way you said you looked after your toys, because I mean, I knew that my mum and dad worked hard, and it was like every birthday and Christmas that I would get stuff like toys and stuff like that as a kid, and it was the same with my sisters. So I would be disappointed if I played with my toys and they broke, because I knew that they weren't going to come around easy again. Even though they were readily available in the shops and you could just walk in and get one any old time, it was just a case of my parents, they had, you know, the 3 kids, and it was a question of like money. Now it just seems like it's not Christmas and birthdays you get stuff. It's like every day, every month that you can pre-order these things as an adult and get them through. Yeah. Do you think that takes away from Christmas and birthdays, or are you quite happy just getting as and when?
I am going to say no there, Stuart, for the fact of that when it gets to birthdays and Christmas, I like people to get me things that aren't anything to do with the collection. That's the time to me when you do get a bottle of aftershave. I'm not going to spend £100 on a bottle of Savage when there's Marvel Legends I need. So when it comes to things like that, I say, oh, I'd like one of them. So yeah, for that, because I don't really get. I mean, my brothers and stuff, they buy me Batman stuff and Star Wars stuff like we all get and stuff like that. And but I prefer not having anything to do with the collection for Christmas or a birthday.
No, fair enough.
I got a PS5, so I wasn't too bothered.
Fair enough. Like in the mug, by the way, awesome stuff. Awesome. Right, so with all the bits and bobs you got in your collection, do you have a prized piece in your collection? One piece that you would take with you? If you my Megatron G1.
Your
Megatron, yeah,
100%, yeah. That'd be the thing.
It's weird. The only transform I had as a kid was Jazz. I mean, my friend, he was like an only child, so his mum and dad could get him what he wanted when he wanted, because they just had the one kid. And I was into Transformers because I used to watch it as a kid and stuff like that. But the only one I had was Jazz, and it was my nan. She brought it back from America. Well, back early in the early 80s, and I was like blown away by it. But that was the only one I had. So, but Megatron, I don't know. I liked him in robot mode. I thought he was quite cool in robot mode and stuff like that. But I never got to see one because my friend never had Megatron. So it was a bit of a. But never mind. So Megatron's your piece you take with you. Do you have a Grail piece that you want, that you would say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to spend a bit of money on that?
Oh, well, I didn't have, and then I did. It's coming into this community for the past 3 years. It's opened your eyes again to a lot of collecting. There's a lot of stuff I've forgotten about over the years, and I'll tell you the 100% truth first. I've known nothing about G.I. Joe. I knew nothing. I didn't collect it as a kid. I know nothing about it, but meeting people like Scuba and Hotspot and all these big G.I. Joe collectors, you find so much information out, don't you? And you see their great people. Definitely. For me, oh God, I bought the Biker Scout original carded figure, Return of the Jedi, off Andy Lemire. And I said to myself, that was it. There was only 3 other Star Wars figures I ever truly loved playing with. It was the Biker Scout, it was the Weequay, and it was the Lando Stiff.
Okay.
So I bought the Biker Scout off Andy, and I said to myself, that's it. And then a few months after that, I said to myself, well, I want obviously the speeder bike to go with it. So I put the feelers out. I tried to get one, and fantastic. Jeff and Scuba Pete went to Joe Fest, and they saw an absolute fantastic one, and they bought it for me. So I ended up with that next. Holy Grails would be getting that Weequay back and getting Lando Christian back mint on the card. That I said I wasn't going to do it. I said after the Biker Scout, that was me done, but I am going to, because I went to Echo, and the first thing I did is start looking around for that Weequay, and I thought I'm going to end up getting these, you know. So I'd say as a Holy Grail, it'd be them two to get in mint on card. If I can.
Awesome. So you say you like. So how long have you been within this community then? And who got into the community first? Was it you, or was it Shabby?
No, I like I said, I started to spend half my time drawing all day long. I was never really into these sort of communities online. But my brother, he was getting on to me saying, I'm doing this show with these guys. Come and watch it if you can. He talks about all the stuff we're interested in. Come and see it. So it was just basically Shabby just pulled me in, you know, and I've been here ever since because they're such a great bunch, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, on the whole, I think that the community is very welcoming because I mean, I've not been doing this for long. It was only like last March that I did it, and I've watched people on YouTube like Tim from Bosk's Bounty and Only One, and I've seen like names that stand out, and Shabby Geek was one of them, and I remember seeing Shabby's name come up on the chats and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a welcoming community, definitely. So. You mentioned your art there. When did you get into art, and what inspired you to start drawing? I think I can know what it is that inspired you.
It's again Batman for being a kid, but I've always drawn. I could draw before I could write. I was a bit of a prodigy as a kid, and I ended up taking my GCSE in the 3rd year. My 4th year at school was passed towards art college. Then I feel so strange if I don't have a pencil in my hand a day. I love art then. I love art now. It's just the biggest passion in my life. Just always.
I've seen I've seen a lot of your work on Instagram, and I've got to say it is absolutely fantastic.
Cheers.
I mean, I really do. So, I guess it's what you do as a living then, or is it just a hobby that you? It's a living. Oh wow.
Yeah, a few years back, Manfandanga is actually a brand. It's not really my name online because I don't do YouTube, things like that.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be coming last Halloween, and then I've put it off being lazy. But starting this year, probably, I don't know whether to do it before celebration or after, but my t-shirt launch is being launched, which is Manfandanga.art. It will be online. And it will be one of 50 t-shirts a month, and that's it. Once the 50 have gone, I won't be replicating them anymore. So,
wow,
that's going to be just limited editions.
So, Manfandanga is actually your company name.
Yeah, it was. It started off years ago with it being my graffiti tag. Really, that's how it started off. Wow. A lot of graffiti art, and that's how it started off originally. And it was just to build something up, just with my art. God, I've done all sorts of things with it in and out, but I know eventually now what I want to move into with it, you know. So
yeah. So with your graffiti, was it like on just train stations and all that sort of stuff, side of buildings,
all around the file, train stations, the lot. Is
some of your stuff still there, or is it all gone now?
Some is, yeah. What I said to Mark, I used to have 2010. I had a YouTube channel, and it was called Obi-Wan Size 75, and it was all about graffiti art. It was all about art around the Fylde Coast, all about local artists, and it was just purely about art, really. And I used to go around and film all the pieces that we've done and all the pieces from years back and see if they're still there and not. But I took it all down, Stu. I'm not like my brother. Do you know, Mark can be like, but I'm not, it's not in me to entertain people, if you'll have me, even though I'm trying my best at singing, you know that. But
mate, I tell you what, you've got a sweet voice. You've got a sweet voice, mate. I'm loving your tunes you're knocking out there.
Don't you stop putting me to shame, I'll tell you.
No, don't. I've stopped doing that a long time ago, mate. But so I don't. What I find fascinating is you're a kid, and whatever age, and you get a pencil, and you just doodle, and that's just how it started. You think, oh yeah, I'm liking this, and I'm good at it. Is that what it was like? Because I just cannot imagine being able to pick up a pencil and just draw some of the stuff that I see people drawing, and it's.
It was comic books. I think that most artists will tell you that, you know, I'm a massive big fan of comic books. I have thousands and thousands. Every comic book since I was a kid still. I'm like half of these. I just love comic books. I always have. And I think that becomes your first teacher when you're interested in art. You sit there with your comic book and you're that impressed by this story that I was a kid that didn't really want these to finish. I didn't get it in my head that 2 weeks later there was another one out. The story continues. Yeah. So I'd always get my piece of paper and I'd just carry on drawing this story out. And that's how it just picked up for me. And then I had an accident when I was a kid and it left me in hospital for a year. And that's when I really picked up drawing. You know, and that's when I just, because I couldn't move, I couldn't walk or anything. So I just non-stop. And there was a nurse there, and he was a male nurse, and he used to draw characterizations. Remember the spitting image? And he used to do and things like, well, he used to draw things, and they were amazing. And I think that played a big impact on my life, seeing all them, what he could do with the Bible at dinner time. And I'd be like, a lot of influences like that.
That's incredible. And you say you like comics as well. I guess you're all into the DC Batman comics and stuff like that. And
again, I think it's like every Brit kid. You start off with your Victor comics, then you go on to your 2000 AD, and then you just turn on to your Marvel and your DC.
2000 and AD. Well, Judge Dredd. Yeah,
well, that's what it was for me originally. And Jonathan Redmond will leave me happy to say this, but it was Judge Dredd in the beginning. You know, I used to read 2000 AD, and Brian Bolland's artwork was just the greatest thing on earth. It still is to me to this day, you know.
Yeah.
That, and then when I found out in the 80s that all these artists had moved on to DC, they were starting to do works like The Killing Joke and things like that, then that was me. You know, that was me stuck forever.
So do they still do Judge Dredd then? Are they still doing 2000 AD comics, or is it sort of like...
They still make 2000 AD comics, and Judge Dredd is still going. I think now and again the original artists will make a comeback and do something for it, but it's all, you know, it's all the new boys today. And but to me, I will still say that when it came to comic book art, 2000 AD to me was the standard. That was the level. No Marvel or DC comic could, for me, in my opinion, could ever touch the graphic novel style of 2000 AD. I can understand why they pinched them all. You know, I can.
Yeah. So what about the movies then? Because Sylvester Stallone was obviously played the part of Judge Dredd, and then there was it Colin Farrell?
No, it was Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. He was in the new one. Was he the remake?
Yeah, the Dredd. He was in Dredd.
Okay, yeah, Dredd. That's it. Yeah, because I've still not seen that. So
treat yourself. Treat yourself.
Is it good?
Absolutely amazing. I mean, I went in and I'm a big like, he's not Judge Dredd. He's not big enough to be Judge Dredd. This is all until you see it. And that's one thing. It was the greatest film I ever saw in 3D. In 3D, it was just
really? Wow.
Dredd. If you've not seen it, Stu, treat yourself. Dredd.
I will. Yeah. What about the one with Sylvester Stallone then? Because I think that's what put me off seeing Dredd, because I wasn't too impressed with that, if I'm honest.
Again, as a kid, I was so excited that was coming out, because originally, 1987, they had two choices. They could either make Judge Dredd or they could make RoboCop. And they went with RoboCop because they said that Judge Dredd is a lot more of a budget due to Mega City 1, future outfit. Yeah. Where RoboCop was just a dystopian future. So when Judge Dredd finally did come out, I was one of them that I liked the outfit. I liked all the backdrop for Mega City 1, but it wasn't violent enough. It wasn't, and taking his helmet off and Sylvester Stallone and all that was just a no-no in 2000 AD, you know. So as a kid when I saw that, I was a bit like, oh, God. So,
it's strange because I think, well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you get these comic books and they build foundations or any series back from the 80s and stuff like that. And then they try and change it and try and modernize it and bring it into today's kind of like society. And I'm not going to get too far into that because that's a topic point that I will discuss at some point. With your comics again, going back to the DC comics, did you have the Batman comic where Bane broke Batman's back?
Yeah. Nightfall, yeah.
I had that. I had that series, and I went and bloody sold them. I am absolutely gutted. I sold them. I sold them back to the comic shop, and I was gutted.
Yeah, because I noticed with I mean, I buy a lot of McFarlane Multiverse, and I noticed that when
I see that,
Batman came out, the Nightfall Batman, that was starting to get like, all of a sudden, Multiverse was selling out. This is sold out. I'm thinking, what's going on here now? Because of the Nightfall comic, it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, I as you can tell, I well, because of your brother, really shabby. That's why I've got the Batman 66 stuff, and I've got a few of the McFarlane multiverse figures as well, Jokers and Harley Quinns and stuff. I can't remember where I was going to bloody go with that now. Oh yeah, Batman. So I'm at the moment watching the Batman animated series. Have you seen that? And have you ever thought about getting any of those figures?
Fortunately, in the past, I've always picked up Harley Quinn from that role, and I was talking to Smith Lord and Smuggler's Canyon, Christian, and them to collect these animated series figures.
Yeah.
And Chris and Christian, both of them said, "They're going to, we'll send you some. We've got some spares here." Because I said, "I don't collect them. I don't know to start collecting these up. Is it worth me going back and finding them?" Because, like you'll know, watching that animated series, it's one of the greatest animations ever made.
Loving it.
It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? It's not. I remember that as a kid thinking, "This is just something else." It was like Batman '89 continuing.
Yeah.
So they both sent me a load of figures, and I ended up with like 20 of these animated figures. And I've got to say, I think they're fantastic. They're great. I do pick up Harley Quinns off them. There's a Catwoman I'm after, a blonde Catwoman that I really am after. But yeah, I've got to give all credit to Chris and Christian for that. They sent me all them figures, and they're really good.
So is it just Batman in the DC line that you like, or do you like the others like Aquaman and the Flash and Wonder Woman?
Oh yeah, I love all DC. You know,
all of them.
But I've never been a fan of Batman involved in the Justice League, which is really weird. I never have.
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought that my Batman is noir. It's mobsters. It's down the alley more than it is. There's a flying guy over there, and then this guy's like got magic powers, and this guy's from Mars. Yeah. It's never really, to me, fitted in. I mean, there was a comic years ago called The Tower of Babel, and it's about how Batman works out how to bring all the Justice League down if they turn. So if any of these turn and they turn on the world, how can I bring them down? And the Batcave gets broke into by, I think it was the Riddler and the Joker, I can't remember. And they steal these plans. They steal, it's Lex Luthor, Joker and Lex Luthor. And they steal all these and they bring the Justice League down. And when it came out that, you know, the Justice League find out that it was actually Batman's portfolio on them that's done this, they all turn on him. Apart from the Flash, like they all turn on him, like, how could you do this? But he can't get his point across that if he doesn't do this and you turn nasty in any shape or form, and that to me is the only really time I've ever really liked Batman in the Justice League.
It's weird, isn't it? Because for me, it's just I like the Batman more so than the guys from Justice League. I don't know why. I just didn't get into the movies and stuff like that. And I think. I personally like the Dark Knight series because Nolan's trilogy. I just thought when that came out, I now listen, at the time I liked Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, and I thought Keaton was a great Batman. I really did, and I thought he's going to take some beating, and I thought Jack Nicholson's going to take some beating as the Joker. And then like step forward to the Dark Knight trilogy, Gareth Bale, not Gareth Bale, bloody hell, Christian Bale. I thought he played the part well. Yes, his voice got on my nerves a little bit, but I just think every character in those films were spot on, and everybody that played those films was spot on. I mean, I like Gordon. I thought Heath Ledger was absolutely fantastic as the Joker. And I think it's such a shame that he passed away when he did, because I think he would have been involved in the third installment as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was the plan. The plan was the third installment with that, and I think because of the untimely death of him, that's why, to me, the third one's a bit of a mess. I'm not really so much of a fan of The Dark Knight Rises. The first two are masterpieces. I agree with you straight away.
Absolutely.
For a director to come out and say, "Well, this is how it started with Batman. This is how it actually comes on to this point." It's never been seen before that. And when he started to go deep in the comics with characters like Ducard and everything, it was like, for me, this is amazing. Everyone's gonna love this chapter.
Yeah, no, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I liked the score. Who else did I like in it? I didn't mind Tom Hardy as Bane. I thought he was fairly decent. I thought he played the part quite well.
It's uncommon. I mean, it's unpopular opinion for people that I talk to here, but my favourite portrayal so far of Catwoman was Anne Hathaway. So far, what I've seen on, I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer was great, but as what I think of Selena Kyle, Anne Hathaway was just magic, perfect.
Talking of origins of Batman, did you ever see the series Gotham, and what did you think of that? Because I personally really liked it. Yeah,
to me, what the outstanding parts of Gotham were the Riddler and the Penguin. Them two in that.
Oh, yeah.
Were just because they played that campness of the '66, but were dark enough to live in this Batman of today. Oh yeah, Gotham was a great show. I really liked it.
I really like that, and it's a standout character for me was definitely the guy who played the Penguin. I just thought he was comical, but he was cold with it as well and stuff like that. And it's just some of the facial expressions that he made. I wasn't too keen on, was it Fish Mooney?
Yeah, Jada Pinkett.
I wasn't too keen on her character. And
when her character was made up for that show, she was a made-up character for that show. There was no Fish Mooney. There's no Fish Mooney. She was just done for Gotham.
Yeah.
So I think with the production company making half of it, I think they just give her a role, shut her up. You know what I mean? It's one of them.
Yeah, and I think it was a shame with the guy who played who I thought was the Joker. I remember it because they were at the circus, weren't they, in that episode? And something happened to one of the staff members or circus members, and they sat him down and he was talking, and I didn't think at all about who he could be. And then he just did that look with his smile, and I said, "Fuck me, that is the Joker." And I was just so excited.
You could tell he was doing Jack Nicholson's joke. He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Oh, wasn't he? He was absolutely awesome.
Same kid who plays the Star Wars games, isn't it? He's the same kid.
Yes, Cameron. Yeah, someone like that. Yeah. But I just, and then that guy killed him off and what have you. And I thought, oh no, he's not the Joker. And when he was laying there at the end, he's just got that smile on his face when he's like lying on the stage dead. And I just thought that is awesome. But then they brought him back as his twin brother or something, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Because his character was so strong, wasn't it? Because we all did what you said. We went, look at this kid here. It was really good.
Phenomenal. What did you think of the guy who played Alfred? I thought he was.
Sean Pertwee.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan. I'm a fan of his dad, fan of him. Do you know what I mean? It's and I liked his portrayal of Alfred. He sort of played the year one Alfred, a bit tougher. And see, my Alfred will always be Alan Napier from the '66. That's the way I think Alfred's played. Gentleman's butler, but underneath it all, you don't mess with it. Yeah. Whereas over the latter years, Alfred's become a bit more. This is how he got his military training, and this is how he got his decorum. And so I do get it while they've done it.
I quite like Michael Caine. I thought he was fairly decent. But then
I like Michael Caine. For me, he was Michael Caine. That's the problem. I think he was too famous to play. He's Michael Caine, isn't he? So that's the way I couldn't see him as Alfred because, again, my love of Michael Caine. I was like, well, it's Michael Caine. So
well, I quite like Harvey Dent as well. I thought the way they done him was quite clever with the face and the makeup and stuff. In the Watch It trilogy, the Nolan trilogy, I thought he was quite fairly decent.
Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face in that was a surprise hit for me. Because when it was all about the Joker, the trailers and everything, but watching him in that was just, honestly, I loved it. I loved it. Dark Knight Rises is a Batman masterpiece. Dark Knight, sorry. Heath Ledger in that and Aaron Eckhart. It was just a fantastic film, that.
Yeah. So what sticking with the films, what do you think of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin?
Well, the thing is, Joel Schumacher is a fantastic director. When you look at his resume of films, you can see why he was picked for this sort of film. But when you watch when you watch things for it, he always says he wanted to go for that 66 style. He was getting a bit. I think Frank Miller once said it around the time that was made. He was asked about the Dark Knight Returns comic book, and I don't know if he was just in a mood at the time, but he turned around and said he wished he hadn't done it. He said, in the sense of he's glad he did it, but it's changed Batman that much that no one now is going back to the fun side of Batman, where it can be a bit pow and smash. And Joel Schumacher went for that. That's what he went for. You can see it in every single shot where it's tilted and it's all Batman 66. If you go back and watch them films, Stuart, with Batman 66 in your head, you'll see them completely different. You'll see what he's going for. But I think the world of Batman, like you said, it changed. You know, Tim Burton... He made the darker Batman. He made it like, you know, how Frank Miller and the rest of them started to portray him. And I don't think it just could ever go back to what it was. No.
And are you sad about that? You know, does that bother you or it does?
I am, because my favourite ever Batman film is Batman Returns, for the fact of it was the last Batman film that felt like a comic book. It was the last one to me that felt like we're not frightened of calling him the Penguin, or that's Catwoman, or this is Batman. And they weren't it was a very comic book element to it. That's why it will always remain my favorite. Whereas I think Batman nowadays, even though the fantastic films in the reality, does it go back to what we say? I don't want the reality. I want 2 hours of fantasy. I want 2 hours of Catwoman, Poison Ivy, all these things going on. And sometimes it can take too much of a serious direction.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what's it about? At the end of the day, it is a bloke running around with a mask on, running around thinking he's a bat. That's, you know, you can't like.
No. So what do you think of the Batman, the latest film, and what did you think of Robert Pattinson?
Well, again, to me, in my opinion, the most Batman for me has been Ben Affleck. That's been the most Batman.
Really?
Where I've looked at my comic books, looked at screen, and I've gone, that's Batman. That's Ben Affleck, the big guy, the meanness of him. He was portrayed, from, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like Robert Pattinson. I think he did a fantastic job, but I think a bit like Chris Evans with Captain America, 3 or 4 films in, he'll feel like Batman. The character's aged, you've aged with him. Batman to me has always been like an Alex Ross drawing. He's your older uncle, a big guy. He's not, do you know what I mean? Somebody you mess about with. But I love Batman. I thought it was great.
Because none of them have really been big guys, have they? I mean, Michael Keaton wasn't a big guy. Adam West certainly wasn't
I mean, Christian Bale was a fantastic Batman, not for the sake that he was a giant guy. He was the emotional side he played of it. You'd believe that this is a guy that's been through all this and he's had to go away and train to do all this, and this is who he is now. And I think having an actor of his caliber in that role worked for that. I don't think the big guy would have worked for any of that sort of storyline, you know?
Right, yeah.
Michael Keaton's a great Batman and he's most people's Batman. And I was there in '89 and I remember thinking, what, that guy from like, I remember the time, because every film I'd see Michael Keaton in, like Multiplicity and all this, it'd be like comedies. He wasn't a serious, like, so to say he's going to be Batman. But then you saw the film and rest is history. It was fantastic.
Definitely. I think we had a little bit of a sidestep there, so I apologise for that. But it's good to hear your thoughts, because I missed a fair chunk of that live stream you did when you were talking about Batman. So I missed a bit of that in the beginning. So just wanted to get your thoughts again on that. So you've already touched on. My next question is going to say, would you ever entertain doing your own YouTube channel? But you've already touched on it, saying that you did do it, but you don't have the time for it now. Is that correct, or would you go back to doing that, or no?
No. I like doing this. I don't mind coming on to people's shows and my friends and stuff. Say, can you come on and talk about it? And you know, and I say, yeah. As far as running my own, no. I just wouldn't find the time to do it. Like I said, Stuart, I'm not entertaining. Give me an hour. I'm not like you or Scuba or any of these, you know. I think the idea of running me on would knock me a bit sick. I'm too nervous for that sort of stuff. And,
I've got to say, it is quite nerve-wracking. But I think the longer you do it, the more relaxed you get into it, and you relax into it. Because I was looking back at the first few episodes of this series, and I was like, my God, I sound so, what's the word? I didn't feel relaxed. I felt relaxed at the time, but you could see that I wasn't really relaxed. And now you just relax into it. But I think you're quite entertaining. I mean, you know, you've got the voice of
my twin brother's a big help. My twin brother's a big help, because you've seen the confidence in my twin brother. He's been like that forever. What you see with Mark is actually what you get, and I absolutely love him for that, because he'll be the first to say to me, "Don't be a dickhead. Come on." Do you know what I mean? And he'll be the first to make me feel stupid for going, "I don't want to do it." And that's what I've always loved that in my twin brother to this day, that he will pull me out of that. And then in the end, Stuart, I say to myself, oh, I actually did enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's a good help.
I mean, do you have a website?
It's going up. What I've not, everything's ready to go, but I'm waiting for my T-shirts to be done. Once they're here, I can get them on the site, buttons on, everything's up in one go.
And you're just doing 50 of those, you say?
Yeah, it's going to be 50 a month. So every month there'll be 50.
Oh, 50 a month. Oh, okay.
Yeah, every month. Only one, though. 1, 50, 50, 50. And then once they're gone, they're gone. So if you've missed out on, say, a Stormtrooper graffiti one, it won't be done again. So,
so you're going to be doing your own, you're going to be putting your own art on there. Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's all my own artwork. So.
I'll tell you now, I'll put an order in for the Harley Quinn and Joker.
No, no problem. There'll be other ones coming. You'll have to see when you see.
No. I've got to get in there, mate. I would love a Harley Quinn or Joker.
Yeah, but it will be. I mean, the name is now Manfandanga.art. You can see it online, but there's nothing there yet. It's not up and running yet.
Okay.
But as soon as the buttons, as soon as they're here,
yeah, I'm excited, man. I'll be jumping straight on there. Don't you worry about that. Also,
they'll be coming with things as well. The t-shirts will have a penciling with Manfandanga on. You'll come with a couple of stickers. There'll be a print of artwork with them. There'll be a few things with them.
Would there be one with a portrait of you on there?
No.
That's a shame, man. That's a shame. Right. If you could only collect one toy line, what would it be and why? You've got the choice of all the toy lines that you're collecting now, but you could only collect one. What would it be and why?
The multiverse.
Yeah, DC multiverse, yeah.
DC McFarlane. When I was a kid in the 90s reading all these great comics, if you'd have said to me by the age of 47, you're going to get a line of 7-inch figures of all these villains, all these different Batmans, it'd have blown my mind. So 2 or 3 years ago, when I started to notice multiverse coming in, thinking, what are these? That was it. I just fell in. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but I absolutely love the multiverse figures. That'd be the one I did keep.
Yeah, I mean, I think they display so well. They really do. And they look great. And do they also do the does McFarlane do the animated style figures as well, or is that
he does? But I agree with Smith Lord. Chris Smith is the first to say, well, they're not animated figures. These are the animated figures done properly, and he's right. Yeah. You know, he's pointed things out to me, like certain designs on legs and the way that they sort of stand, and it looks like a weird sort of top heavy figure, whereas the animated line of these figures is nothing like that. So yeah, there are a few that I turn my nose up at, but again, it's for the Supermans and the Batmans and the Green Lanterns you get and all the villains you get. It's just mind blowing.
It is an incredible line, and the thing is though, I only get the Batmans or the Jokers and Harley Quinns. I don't go for well, actually saying that, I've got Man Bat that I need to open. I've got Clayface I need to open. They've just done a Bane as well. You know, I wouldn't mind getting him. Who's that lot up there? Suicide Squad. Got those guys. What did you think of those films?
I wasn't a fan of the first one. I liked the second one, but it still wasn't the Suicide Squad to me. The Suicide Squad to me is a team of villains. They're a nasty piece of work, all of them. They'll try anything to get out. As soon as they're like out of that cell, right, how am I getting out of this? They wouldn't care who was helping them out. They don't care who was with them. So even though it was a good film, I think Peacemaker was the soul.
Did you see that? Did you see that?
That was great.
I thought that was superb. Yeah. That was great.
And I think he was the best from the Suicide Squad as well. But it was a good film. Don't get me wrong. It's not my Suicide Squad yet.
Yeah. See, because I hadn't really heard of the Suicide Squad, so I saw the first one and I thought, yeah, okay, it wasn't too bad. Then I saw the second one and I just thought, shit, man, what have I just watched? And it wasn't like, what have I just watched because that was crap. It was, what have I just watched because that was so spaced out and so far out. It was just wow. And then what's his name, Peacemaker came out, sat and watched that, and it just had me in hysterics. It was just so amusing in parts, and it was how they got away with some of those lines, especially Peacemaker's dad.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah, they got away with that. I do not know.
What I liked about that side of it, where DC sticks with DC Detective Comics, is a little bit gritty, a little bit naughty, and you know,
yeah. No, I got to say, I do like the McFarlane line, and I so that's a good choice. Good choice. Right, 2 questions left. What gives you that toy collecting buzz? And this is just part of the same question. And what gives you that artistic buzz with the drawing? So the toy collecting first.
I suppose it's like every one of us, really. It's things that you see that I mean, like the Dungeons and Dragons figures that have picked up. I know it's a thing to say and everyone's been saying it, but people like me, I have genuinely been waiting 40 years for these figures. Do you know, I've looked every year for merchandise. All I've ever come across is a built statue with the figures at the bottom with Tiamat that was like thousands of pounds. And so having these now, that made me go, whoa. I don't think that ever leaves you when you see something that you really love. It's like the NECA Ed 209 this summer. That was another one. Like, It never leaves you, does it? You look at these things, your art goes to them. You remember them when you were younger or a time that you loved it, and you just got to get them in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plastic back addiction. What Salacious said.
Definitely. So with the Dungeons and Dragons figures, I'm guessing you're keeping those boxed. Are you happy that they've come with plastic free bubbles and packaging? You're not.
I can honestly say I thought it was bad last summer when it was starting to happen, because for me, I am an inbox collector. Having that plastic glass front there, if you'll have me, is important to me, because I'm not going to open this figure. I also like to go somewhere and have a judge like you do a book. Which one's the best? Which one do I like the best? Which one's the cleanest condition? And that's all been took away. The Dungeons and Dragons packaging to me is the worst packaging I have ever seen on any figure in 45 years. It is absolutely shocking. It's all you can say about it.
I think if you put a bubble on that, that would look bad. That wouldn't look too bad, because the artwork doesn't look too bad on it. But like you say,
have you ever touched them in your hand? The card is like thick paper. It's just awful. It's just
really?
When I got them home here, the first thing I did was go on to DC Deflector and order the covers for him, because I thought these aren't going to last 2 seconds with them being out.
Is that the actual card back, or is that the carded bubble that's like that?
Well, it's like a folded origami set, if you'll have me. The actual figure is in the card, but in the box in the card. So it's not. But honestly, the stuff it's made out of is. You wait till you feel it, you'll just go, that is shocking.
See, because when I saw the figures coming out, I thought, oh, they look pretty cool. And then I saw the packaging and I thought, nah. So I've not got them, and I think that's probably the
art is superb. I think they've captured that cartoon absolutely brilliant. The art is not the issue for the box. It's just the way that the art is just this. I mean, these things aren't cheap anymore. I mean, our kids showed a card that we got him the other day that I'd sent back, his Return of the Jedi card from years ago, and it said Tesco, £1.69. And then I just went, that would be $18.99 in today's money.
It would be. It would. Yeah. It's you know, if only we knew now, or knew then what we know now, it would be so different for sure. So, what gives you that artistic buzz then? What enjoyment do you get out of that?
Again, it's the only thing that I love doing. I get up, I think of drawing all the time. I've always got 3 or 4 pieces of artwork on my head at all times, you know. So if I'm not thinking of one or doing one, I'm definitely thinking of 2, and that's never left me. It's never. I don't think it will.
And is it comic work that you want to get into?
Well, it's not really a case of comic work, really. It's most of my work, most of my paid work is portraits. That's what I mostly do.
Oh, okay.
Portraits of people, really. But when it comes to the design I want on my t-shirts, I would consider myself a graphic illustrator. So it will mostly be different things in a comic book look, but with a lot of graffiti and Japanese influence as well. Yeah.
So I take it you watched USR last night then, and you saw Ted's little round. I won't go too deep into that. You agree with him though, yeah? You agree with him?
I thought Tez was going to blow his pot. I do agree with Tez 100%. He's right what he's saying. Yeah, it's you know what you can create and things like that. All new technologies is needed, but it's pointless. It's soulless. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's nothing to it. I agree with exactly what Tez said 100%. The work's getting better, and in 10 years from now, this will be amazing. But it's still soulless. It's like when your granddad made you a fantastic piece of furniture, but then now you're going into him and fine, you're buying it for 70 quid. It's that thing to me. There's no work gone into it. There's no love and attention. And
how long then does it take you to do a portrait or a piece of art from start to finish?
It all depends on what I'm doing. It all depends on the size. For a normal A3 portrait, say I'm drawing you, I'd have that done for tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably a day and a half normally for portraits. But again, it all depends on what you're drawing, what people want their artwork in. I do stress to people that I am an ink artist. That is my forte. That's what I do. Don't expect some Renaissance or some. I'm a graphic illustrator. That's basically me.
No, that's okay. I think I prefer some of your stuff than the shit that you see that's put up in the art exhibition, and it's called art, and it's just like a turd sitting there. That's it. art going for £1,000. That is, you just brilliant. Right, last question. Again, it's a double-barrel question. What does your collection mean to you, and what does your artwork mean to you? We'll go for the collection first.
Collection, what means to me is it's just something that I think that there's a lot of things you lose as a kid. You lose a lot of stuff. You lose your creativity, you lose your imagination, you lose your freedom of life, and you lose the way that you just don't care about anything and everything's a summer on your bike. And I think that collecting is still that thing you've got, that you've still got from that time. You still get the same thing. My mum would put a comic in my hands at the age of 9, and I'd be like that, and I'm still the same today. You give me a comic that's fantastic, I'm still the same, and I'm still the same when I go into any toy shop or see anything online. I'm instantly like 10-year-old kid again. I've got to get it, got to get it. And I think that's the only thing, truthfully, that we still have from that youth. We lose a lot of stuff, but I think the love of collecting, if you collect, I don't think you ever lose. How many people, Stuart, have come to your house, men, and they're not collectors at all? They don't collect anything, but have stood there, gazed at all your stuff. And you see it in their eyes. They've gone straight back to 10 years of age. And they start telling you, I used to have that. I love that. That is... And it just brings us to that time that we just loved. I think that's all it is. And for me, for that reason, there's absolutely nothing wrong with collecting anything.
No. I mean, I definitely... When I first started, I kind of hid it away, so I just got it, and it was like a private, personal thing. But now I you know, since I've done my channel, I'm quite happy to share it with you guys because I know that there's a lot of like-minded people out there, and and for me, that was a big barrier, breaking down a big barrier as to me saying, yes, I'm a collector. I have all these toys that I had as a kid. And yes, that's where my money goes. But listen, I don't care about that now. I don't care if people know. If I'm a geek, I'm a geek, or a nerd or whatever. I don't care. I'm happy doing this because, like a lot of people, it's a throwback to the past of when you were a kid and stuff like that. And I think if all the people that I've spoken to on this series, they've all practically said roughly the same thing. And I'm, like I say, I'm happy to share it now and talk about it with people. So definitely. How many comics do you have, by the way? Sorry, I just want to throw it in there before.
Thousands. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Thousands. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. I wish to God I could. But saying that, like we've had this chats this week, we've had all the plumbing and everything done, so all the houses come down. But because of that, we've done a cycle turn, and I've managed now to get to all my graphic novels, all my comic books. I've come across these 3 big tubs, and I've not opened these tubs in 15 years, 20 years. Yeah. So I've told our kid about him, and he says, "Oh, we've got to film that. You've got to show people what's in there because there will literally be everything you can think of in these tubs. There will."
Yeah.
So we're going to do that.
Awesome. Oh, you're doing that tonight?
No, I think it's going to be Wednesday. I think on Mark's going
to. Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, he did say yesterday it was going to be Wednesday. Right. Last part of the question. What does your artwork mean to you?
It means to me what it means to others, I think. The magic's gone with artwork for me, in the sense of, it's like I've never wanted to be a film director because I've always loved to watch Star Wars and never be involved making it. And I think that when I see a magician on the TV, even at the age of I am now, I don't want to know how it's done. I like that. Wow, that's, you know what I mean? I just love that. That's gone for me. But the only reason what saves it for it is when I see others, when they get their artwork. And I've given pictures away, I've portraits away, and you see it in their eyes, they start crying, they well up, they're over the moon. I've also had some people want to put it over my head. But, you know, it's that means a lot to me. What it means to others.
Doesn't that give you a sense of pride, though, when you can turn around and you say, this is for you, and I've done this, and this is what you've paid for? And it brings them to that emotional state that they're so happy with it. Does that not fill you with a sense of pride and think, yeah, this is why I like doing this? This is...
Yeah, it makes it worthwhile. There are times, Stuart, I won't tell you lies. Times have been so hard at sometimes doing this. You will know as well as I do, no artist makes any money being alive. Do you know what I mean? The older money you make when you're dead and gone. But it's things like, you know, little things like that that... If everybody said that, I'm not going to do it because I can't afford to do it, or it's going to be a struggle, or, do you know, you'll never, the world wouldn't be full of art like it is. So I just think it's that. I do take pride in the sense of, you know, people do like what I do. Not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm far from the world's greatest artist. But I'm just fortunate to be able to do something I really do enjoy doing. Because the truth is, I've done every single job you can think of. I've been fired from. I've walked out from. I've never took seriously. I've never lasted. But when it comes to this job, I'll be here 14 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? No problem whatsoever. And I don't want to go to bed, and I just want to start again in the morning. And it's never left me. Weird.
So with it being a job then, because sometimes it's like, for example, my daughter, she was like into makeup and stuff like that. So she would do like makeup jobs, and it was just like a little job on the side. And then she actually got into doing makeup. And because it became a job, she had all the pressures of that job. And then it sort of like put her off. Yeah. So she's now no longer in makeup. She still does makeup as like a side thing. But is that, do you feel the same way? Would that be the same for you? It's a job, oh my God. Or
no, because eventually I've always said to myself that I'd like to do something for my own community of Blackpool, for the artists here, because growing up in Blackpool and knowing what sort of town it is very hard to do something that's out of the kilter, that you just think, I want to do this for a living. And my official plan was that in the next few years, when Manfandanga becomes a name enough for me to start employing people, is to give some of these young boys and girls of this town that start off, that want to be an artist, an helping hand, that come work for Manfandanga. You come, you produce your own t-shirts, give them their own money, let them set up properly what they want to do with art. That's the only problem. I went to art college and I was in class with 33 people, and not one of them to this day does anything with their artwork. And at the time, and I'm saying, Stuart, some of these artworks were just amazing. And I'm not on about the talent of skill. I'm on about what they told you and what they spoke to you, what you actually saw in them, what these people were creatively doing. And then you see them in a shop, or you see them in a bank, and you're like, my mind blows. You know, it's. I think you do need a selfish mindset for it. You definitely do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I truly wish you all the best, mate, and I hope that you do get to that situation. I keep my teeth in, situation where you can go forward and do what you're wanting to plan to do, mate. Because I think that would be, that to me, that sounds very inspiring and stuff like that. And if you can help someone else develop, and I take my hat off to you. That is absolutely awesome, man. So
that's what I want to do eventually. Yeah, give the youth a chance. Like, you know, I saw how hard it was. Give them a chance up, a leg up. But when I'm stable enough to be able to help them, so it is a serious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They're going to look at me seriously.
Yeah. Well, like I say, if you have a Joker and a Batman t-shirt, then I'll definitely be interested, mate. And I'll
promise you that. So don't you worry about that. I promise you one will come your way. I promise you that.
Awesome, my man. Cheers. Right. Well, unfortunately, that's come to the end of the chat, Simon. It's been absolutely amazing chatting to you. I mean, these hours just fly by. Where can people find you? With social media platforms?
Again, I'm on all the webs, all those things that are on them: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Manfandanga.art will be coming up soon. I'm not putting a stamp on it. I do know it will be soon.
Okay.
And also, me and Stu will be touring as the new Robson and Jerome next year, all around the Blackpool Towers. So we'll be doing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, I will put all your social media platforms that are active at the moment in the description below with all the links. All I can say is, mate, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time at Echo Base.
Yeah, will it be your first Echo? Was it your first one?
No, it will be my second. We went to the first one just after shutdown, lockdown.
Yeah, that's one I missed. That's one I didn't go to.
Yeah. No, I went there, and I've got to say, it did feel weird being in a room full of people again, because it was a fairly small. Well, it was. I suppose it was a big room, but it was fairly packed and stuff like that, and people are hustling and bustling. And I thought, this is fantastic because it's back. It's back to how things used to be. But then you had the air of, oh shit, I don't know about this. You know, he's standing a bit too close to me, and personal space was all out the window. But
they're not the most hygienic of men either, are they, should we say? They're not the most hygienic.
No, funny. We went to the Birmingham one, the NEC up there, and it was interesting. But yeah, it was good. Well, listen. Once again, Simon, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, mate. And yeah, like I say, all your social media platform links I'll put in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, guys and girls. Stay safe, take care, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.